HyperSpace is the 2018 action sci-fi music video to the song made by J. Case and OQ, directed by Ben Ross Video, and produced by Paradisioproductions. One of the aspects I liked so much about this music video is the fact that the video and the song have actually nothing to do with each other. The song is more or less me and OQ painting a picture of ourselves as being space pirates, you know? I don't know about you, but if McLaren could build me a spaceship, I would buy that shit. So we actually had the song done a few months before we even had the concept. Ben Ross been working with him forever. He texted me an idea for basically a fight scene one night. I was like, oh yo, I've got the perfect song for this, and it actually wasn't even HyperSpace. It was another song from the album that was kind of a self-titled. It was the song Elephants. It wasn't even until we had actually already started filming that we realized the shots we were getting didn't really match the song. So we started playing through a list of tracks that we had already finished for Elephants, and HyperSpace came on, and basically everyone in the room was like, yup, that's the one.
I had free reign in my writing on this video, and the whole concept came together when I went to Boston Comic Con this summer, and I saw this booth which had geometric paper animal masks, and as soon as I saw those, I knew I wanted to do something with them. So I picked up 5 of them, and I just wrote the script for HyperSpace as this action scene in a cyberpunk setting that was very Ghost in the Shell inspired in particular, and I just wrote this script that I never expected to actually make. At some point, I approached Jay and OQ with the idea for this video, and they actually, surprisingly, really liked it. So, I knew they had no idea what it would take to actually make this thing. So, I jumped on the opportunity because this is a passion project for me, and I ran with it. This is the most visually dense and complex video I've ever made, by far. The opening scene has flying cars, the 3D title, not to mention the main action scene, which has the lasers, blood, gunshot effects, the extra lighting that came in from that. It was a very intensive process to make this, but it was remarkably satisfying. My favorite effect that I used consistently in this video was actually just lighting that came out of the muzzle flashes from gunshots, and the way that I tried to, the best I could, realistically paint areas of that would be around where the gun is, so you could, it ties in the gunshot to the environment, and it makes it look like it's interacting with the world around it. That's how you can kind of sell special effects. The hologram dancer was also a really fun effect to do, because it was remarkably challenging, especially to get the movement of it to look right, because it's mostly in moving camera shots, so to track the motion of the table that it was coming out of, and to make it not stand out from objects behind it, such as goat in one shot, that was tough because any little offsets the brain notices and it looks wrong. The elephant gun was a really tough effect to do. Those lasers are still, I'm not happy with them. Those are not the best effects I've ever done. But I use Trapcode Particular to do those effects. It basically is a particle generation system. So I had particles being generated from the endpoint of the gun, and I was mapping them in a 3D space to travel from the end of the gun and have different fall-off effects, and to get darker as it moves further away, become smaller, and start to degrade and die in that type of way. Also using Trapcode Particular, I made the title that you see on the rooftop. I'm very happy with this one. It is a fantastic looking effect, and it holds up as one of the best shots I've ever done. The writing of each character is hugely influential on their design. Each one has a particular role in the story, and I really try to flesh out their characters through their appearance, because they don't have faces, you can't tell emotions or anything. You have to make them very exaggerated and bombastic to truly capture the emotions and the energy that you want to convey. Panther is designed to infiltrate. He's wearing like a light suit and not even a jacket or anything, but just the vest and all. And he infiltrates, mostly by appearing as staff in the building and just being able to sneak in unnoticed. That's kind of what his costume design was inspired by, and also I like the black and white appearance. The black and white scheme also really reflects the Robin Hood kind of aspect of his character, where he's going after the mobsters to steal from them. I have ideas that outside of just this one story, he's a much more moral character, and we're just kind of getting him at a low point, or he's on a vindictive quest, something to that effect. Elephant is the big boss. He is verbose, he is intimidating, and he's just there to be bulky and large. He's a big presence on screen. That's what we were really going for. His actor did a great job of just pumping himself up and being this big, over-the-top kind of guy. When his operations get interrupted by Panther, he does not just let his goons go take care of it. He gets involved himself, and he dies in the process. Fox takes a fat fucking L. Goat is the muscle of the mobsters. From the start, you see him, he's a very hedonistic type of person. He has the dancer in front of him, he's surrounded by empty bottles of alcohol. You can tell that he's the rough and tough guy in the crew, and that's why he has no problem just getting his hands dirty. Not to mention, he's strong as hell. He takes several bullets from Panther before eventually going down in a hail of gunfire, being held as a human shield by his own boss. But his actor had a great time shooting, and you can tell, this character is fantastic. His motions are powerful and deliberate, and shooting with this one was just a lot of fun. And what more can you ask for? If I can have other people have fun watching my videos or just being in them, then that's kind of enough at some point. Wolf is the assassin of the group. He comes out of nowhere, and that makes him dangerous. He has long limbs, he has very, tight-fitting clothes to kind of exaggerate that aspect to him, and it makes him just this very creepy kind of presence, especially with that mask. This thing is awesome. Again, the actor for this character did a fantastic job. He was jumping all over the place and committing 110%. Everybody brought their A game to this shoot, and it's so satisfying to be a part of.
So we wanted to give this one a much more cinematic feel than the others that we've made. Like I said before, the music video is just an action scene. It's not a music video, so to speak. So we did this by integrating film Foley. You might notice that the animals make sounds, or if there's an impact, like Elephant slamming his hand down on the table, you can hear that. As far as effects and plugins go as well, I tried to make it seem true to the visual rather than the audio. I wanted the sounds to sound like they were coming from the room. So I did this by, for one, panning them with the action instead of the song. So they aren't moving, let's say the hi-hat's on the right, they're not moving with the hi-hat. They're moving with the character in the scene itself. They're also on a reverb that sounds more like a room like what we shot in, so it would make sense.
I've always wanted to direct an action-based video, and this was my first chance to really jump into it head first. The whole concept of this was just action. The story is entirely secondary, if you can even say there is one. This is just an action scene. I'm largely inspired by action with clear choreography, geometry in the scene, and stakes and reversals between the characters. I don't like to cut a lot in my action unless it's to add a new information to the scene. I think that longer takes, it gives the actors more room to breathe and allows their performance to stand out more. If you're constantly cutting, just to show small actions occurring, you don't get the minutiae of the real human, smaller actions. The gun prop for Panther looked really good. It was actually a CO2 airsoft gun, but in post-production I just changed the orange tip to gray. That's easy enough. And just having that slide back top to it, it makes a huge difference in selling it and looking like a real weapon. The elephant gun is a painted Nerf gun with some LEDs on top. Let's see if this works still. Nope. Shooting the physical action in this video while everyone was wearing those bulky, delicate paper masks, that was tough. I really give everybody credit and a lot of respect for the way that they approached it and were cautious and responsible, but still they jumped right into it at the same time. They dedicated to a lot of their actions, and we're lucky that nothing got broke at the end of the day, because accidents happen, but everyone did a great job and their caution was effective. The gear we used allowed this video to happen. The Ronin M with the Icon PD movie follow focus was frankly the setup that let me do the entire action scene as quickly as we did. We had the whole action scene there shot in a night, and that's tough as hell to get something that complex done that quickly. That was both due to the actors that we had on set. They were fantastic, as I've said 1,000 times. On the other hand, the gear allowed me to get the shots that I wanted and needed as the actors moved around set, because actually everyone really moved around a lot more than we choreographed and practiced for. I kind of need having the Ronin and the follow focus on there. It really let me navigate the set and get those shots all the same, even though it wasn't what we practiced. That gear and being able to change my focus on the fly was just invaluable to this video. Having control over the focus lets me just worry about cinematography when I am just, dialing on my thumb to change my focus. That's the easiest thing in the world to keep track of once you just learn the system. But it lets you focus on cinematography. For this video, I really tried to make it my best shot video ever. And I think my most recent video, Addicted, is actually better shot than this still, but for the time, this was far and away the best looking thing I ever made. One of the most clear aspects of my personal approach to cinematography is the way that I use light, color, saturation, and space, as well as the movement of the camera, which I just love to do. My LED light panels, like these ones that are lighting me right now, I'm going to pull one of these up. My LED light panels, I use these things all the time, and one of the best assets I have for them is LED gels. These are color gels that you toss over the light, and it paints everything that it touches with very vibrant and beautiful color. I pull these out for every single shoot, as well as the lenses I'm still shooting on now are the ones that I picked up when we were shooting Nihilist. These are still among the best lenses I have ever used. These are the Rokinon Cinema DS line. They're very affordable, cinema-grade lenses. They work fantastic with follow focus systems, manual aperture, beautiful, beautiful lenses. The only downside to them is they get a little fuzzy when you shoot them wide open, but they go as wide as T1.5, so you're really almost never going to be shooting that unless you're in the darkest of environments. But even then, your focus length is going to be like, a quarter thick.
So Mr. McGunthery is actually a relatively complex character. The album isn't out yet, so I don't want to give too much away, but in the album he acts more or less as a narrator. HyperSpace itself is kind of out of context. In the album, he's already been introduced. He's already talked about his safari, so now we're seeing him just in this one song. He just came back from his safari. So in the song list of the album itself, McGunthery's already been introduced at this point by the time we get to HyperSpace. But seeing it just on its own independently, you're getting a different kind of feel from McGunthery. He's kind of like a narrator taking you on a journey, or as he calls it, a safari, throughout the album. Here we see him talking about the safari in a friendly way. And he's actually a really complex character, so your perception of him might change once you listen to the album. This was a really fun process to make. We got to try a lot of different things that we hadn't tried before between the shooting and editing process, and literally building the costumes really kind of made it more of our baby than just a music video by the end of the filming process, and I really think the concept came together well.
This is where the magic gon' start. You should look at trash from the start. You need the blue pill, I picked the red pill. I keep it real, it's still nigga in the world. This is
spacecraft. JK's be up in the space lab. If you got cash, make it rain fast. You can't fuck with me, just face facts. On that wild turkey, I hear my opponents like